Hi, I'm Marsh. Welcome to this episode of Signals from the OP. Today we're going to start with some statistics about text marketing and sales. You might also hear it called SMS for short messaging service, but we mostly know it as texting. First, 98% of text messages are opened versus only about 20% of email on average. 95% of texts are read and responded to within 3 minutes. 90% of consumers prefer to communicate with businesses via text, while less than 20% of people answer calls from numbers they don't recognize or aren't expecting. Text messages, in contrast, are read on average in less than 5 seconds. 77% of consumers have a positive impression of companies offering to text, and 76% of millennials love texting. These stats are compiled in an interesting article on enterpriseappstoday.com. I'll drop the link below in the notes for you to read it if you're interested. But let's unpack these stats in the context of B2B industrial and capital equipment marketing and sales. First, my guess is that your initial reactions include, that can't be right, I hate texting. Or, yeah, but that's mostly about consumer products, it's B2C, it's different in our world. But remember, of course, that we heard similar protestations about websites, email, and other tools in years past. And I'd respond in a couple ways. First, we're each individuals. We should be careful about projecting our preferences onto everyone else. You might decide that you don't want your business to add text marketing and sales, but make that decision based on some objective, informed criteria and not just on your preference, which you assume everyone else shares. Second, every B2B buyer is also a B2C consumer. And what we've seen happen repeatedly with technology and buyer behaviors and preferences is that consumer experiences shape expectations for business buyer experiences. B2B catches up. Or said differently, businesses that recognize and adopt and adapt customer best practices or consumer best practices often end up leapfrogging ahead of competition. And finally, at the intersection of these two is a generational difference. Most B2B companies are now selling to rising generations of operations and engineering folks that are millennials or even Gen Z, and who are accustomed to and comfortable with texting. Just because some silverback running a company doesn't like it, ignores what the majority of the buyers prefer. So let's stipulate that it's coming. What does that mean? Like chatbots and live chat, which power conversational marketing and conversational sales, there are marketing and sales implications to SMS. From a marketing angle, by which I mean bulk sends or robotexts, spam and unsolicited texting is regulated much like email. The TCPA, or Telephone Consumer Protection Act, and CAN-SPAM Act provide the regulations. There's a lot of nuance subject to interpretation in both of these, so make sure you check with your own advisors for specific answers. But in general, the regulations on robotexts apply only to advertisement, in other words, not to existing relationships or transactions. And they say that opt-in must capture explicit intent, and you must offer a way to unsubscribe. Some of today's texting regulations harken back to a time, of course, when the cost of each incoming message was material, and the regulations always need a bit of time to kind of catch up with technology. The practical reality is that marketers are known for abusing and eventually ruining all good things. I mean, think about how you probably loathe your email inbox now. The most important consideration to SMS marketing is to make sure that it's about your customers and their issues, not you and your products, and to use an appropriate tone and tempo. From a sales angle, just like one-off emails and sequences and cadences, one-off texts are much less regulated. Sales' prospecting job is to engage and to get a meeting, and abusing any channel reduces that likelihood. So well-written and appropriately sent messages are the best guidelines. That being said, given the preference of buyers to communicate with text messages, it makes sense that you'd want your sales team to use the tool. And many do, probably from their personal or business provider mobile device. Unfortunately, though, that approach misses some opportunities. For instance, the ability to include SMS messages to be sent automatically as part of outbound prospecting cadences. Integration with your marketing automation and/or CRM and sales acceleration platforms, and even the ability to capture text conversations automatically in CRM, to log them as part of opportunities, or even to include text replies in lead scoring calculations. That argues for incorporating some B2B SMS tools into your tech stack. Tools like Sales Message and Simple Texting are inexpensive and easily integrated into your sales process, workflow, and existing technology. The bottom line is that buyers prefer SMS communication in many cases. Therefore, our preference is secondary. B2B texting for marketing, and especially for sales, are growing quickly. You can lament that, or you can embrace it and empower your team with the tools and techniques they need to please buyers and improve results. The bottom line, I'd say it's time to incorporate texting into your B2B revenue growth toolkit. I'm Ed Marsh. If you found value in this episode of Signals from the OP, check out the full playlist and maybe even like the video, share it, and subscribe to my channel, either at the YouTube channel, edmarshspeaks.tv, or at the related blog, SignalsFromTheOP.com.